So a lot of attention from the media has rightly pointed out Russian dirty money. So there's loads of billions of pounds of money coming in from Russia into the city of London. Now, Transparency International UK have identified 2,189 companies that are registered in the UK or in its offshore tax havens. There's 48 Russian money laundering and corruption cases that are worth 82 billion. Many have pointed out, and they've pointed out in the past, even Jeremy Corbyn did, that there is Russian money flowing to the Tories. A lot of the donations from the party came from Russia, which is really funny because people think that the Conservative Party are tough on Russia, and they use that a lot against the last leader saying he was weak on it. Well, actually, the Tory party are partly funded by Russian oligarchs and billionaires. But here's a point I really want to make, and specifically the City of London. The establishment are happy to talk about the other guy. They're happy to talk about Russia and their dirty money, but they don't want to talk about the West being complicit in it. So the City of London is probably one of the most corrupt places in the whole world. It's an expert in laundering and tax evasion. And if you just look at all these offshore havens the UK currently has, so many companies are coming to and from there. And that conveniently brings me on to sanctions. Now, there's been hard talk about sanctions against Russia, but specifically, what kind of sanctions do we need that will be effective? Currently, how sanctions are implemented is the wrong way. Blanket sanctions against a nation where, companies like Apple Pay can't operate, that hurts the working class in Russia. That hurts ordinary people because they need to get access to money. So how do you do sanctions properly? Well, and I mentioned in the last video briefly, you go after the Russian billionaires. You go after the oligarchs. You go after all the well-connected, because that's where it hurts and that's where the establishment feels it. Why haven't we done that? There's a reason why we haven't gone after those people, because first of all, we'd have to admit that it's not just Russia complicit in this corrupt system, it's the US, it's the UK. That's why we can't really have effective sanctions against Russia without looking at ourselves first. And that, as I said, becomes a major, major factor into global capitalism. So since 2008, there's been £895 billion of quantitative easing. Fucking hard word to say. Quantitative easing. Now, if you don't know what that means, it essentially means we create money out of thin air. What happens to that money? Well, in my opinion, the correct way was use that money for the whole of the population, grow the economy, invest in the economy, blah, 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 blah. What really happens, and what has happened since 2008, is that money has gone to bankers. We've given bonuses to bankers who helped cause the 2008 crash. The money has gone into large corporations, it's gone into banks themselves. So in 2008, when the banking system failed and the banks crashed, the first thing we did is put the banks in public ownership. That was actually the correct decision. Gordon Brown made the right call. We took the banks under public control. We bought them essentially. The wrong thing we did is then put it back in the private sector, sell it back off. We should have just kept it. Banks should be nationalised. So what we've effectively done is we've bailed out the banks. We've bailed out the people who made the mistakes. Then we've given them bonuses. And then we've had harsh austerity for the last 10, 15 years. All that money is gone to the top. And that's been happening for decades, but really in overdrive since 2008. And why I bring this all up now, why has the financial sector got to do with Russia? Well, as I said, the media are looking at Russia and their dirty money. So I thought I'd take the opportunity and explain that this happens all over. And I'm worried that if we just pick and choose good and bad guys, then we won't get to the core issue, which is a massive inequality, which is caused by a huge transfer of wealth. Billions and billions of pounds, trillions and trillions of pounds and dollars is being taken from the working class and the middle class to the top, to the billionaire class. And this cannot go on. So it's right that the UK is sanctioning Russia, provided it's done the right way. But we can't just look at Russia. We've got to go after the whole system, the whole financial system, which is corrupt. and it allows billions of pounds to be transferred from the many towards the few.